Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dimitri and this is MG Owners Australia. Today I would like to talk to you about the newly announced MG ZS EV 2022 model that is supposed to be soon in stock in Australia and I'm sure in other countries as well. Primary purpose of this video is to express an opinion of a private owner of this ZST model 2021, top of the range essence with everything, leather, vinyl seats, sunroof, everything that 2021 model non-EV came with, and express to you my opinion on whether or not I would actually bother buying ZS EV at the currently advertised prices and specs and everything else in 2022. Is it worth your money? Should you buy it? So what I'm going to do is take a look at what MG Australia is presenting to us on their website currently as far as MG ZS EV model of 2022 is concerned. What kind of car is being promised to us? How much does it cost? Versus what do I know about MG ZST 2021 model, petrol version obviously, and how that knowledge, I suppose, overlays with this information that MG presents to us about this new upcoming vehicle. And yes, we're comparing a little bit of apples to oranges here because it is EV versus petrol, which is why, before you criticize me for that, please understand that I'm not going to be comparing specs of the engine, how powerful the engine is. I'm going to be talking about pretty much everything, including the price, other than the power of the engine, because that would be very kind of inconsiderate, I suppose, almost, and really that information would be of no use to you. We're comparing apples to oranges when it comes to electricity versus petrol. All right, so the car, first thing, what strikes me here and what you probably see, other than the grille, other than the real center kind of piece of this nose of the car, the very tip of the car, other than that, the car looks pretty much identical to our MG ZST. So the design of the car, which I quite like this design of the car. I wouldn't want it to change necessarily, but let's just acknowledge the fact that the car is not different optically, almost not different visually from, if we compare it to MG ZST 2021 model. Little bit of a difference here with this grille in the front, but that's about it. That's about all I can see. Maybe some subtleties that I welcome you to point out in the comments down below to me, but I don't think it's fundamental. I don't think it's a matter of principle. Well, they say that they're making EV even easier. Stylish, comfortable, intelligent, and 100% electric mid-size SUV. Okay, no particular objections here. I think that it's kind of accurate, at least subjectively, because tastes are subjective. I think it is stylish. I think it is reasonably comfortable if we have anything to go by, and that is our ZST. It's a sleek design, I would give it to that, but I think let's address straight away the elephant in the room, the pricing. So we're talking here about the pricing. So there are two versions of the car coming. The Excite, which comes from 46,990 drive away, and the top of the range Essence models would be almost 50 grand Australian. Please keep in mind that these dollar signs, that's Australian dollars, that's not American dollars. Yeah, but still, that's quite a bit of money. I do not know, and this is not very clear to me, do you need to buy the ChargeHub to charge this vehicle, or is it an optional kind of thing that makes charging easier? And otherwise, you would do what a plug-in hybrid would do, and you would just plug it into a normal kind of a landline outlet of electricity. I don't know. Please talk to me in the comments down below. I'm not an expert. So visual cluster is changing. 7-inch visual cluster. That is the dashboard. I've seen a dashboard in the MG HS plug-in hybrid, and I have done a review of MG HS plug-in hybrid on my channel. If you haven't seen it, please take a look at it. If this 7-inch virtual cluster is anywhere similar to that, it was nothing to write home about. I wouldn't buy a car because of it, but it was okay. So this looks sort of a little bit obscure, to be honest with you. They're not showing us much about it, but it's a high resolution 7-inch visual cluster. Okay, nothing to write home about, but thank you very much, MG. Now, sleek new design. Design is not new. I do not think that it is new, and I'm going to deliberately right now overlay on the right the look of my car currently. Okay, not from elevated position, but you can use your imagination. It is maybe tiny bit different, and again, grille is different, but other than that, it's very, very similar. Again, I would not say that it is necessarily a new car per se. 17-inch alloy rims, we have it in our MG HS Essence. LED headlights, I think we have LED headlights as well. From what I can see, let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. So this is the top of the range model shown, by the way. This is the Essence model shown, and I can say that to you because I'm looking at the steering wheel. We have the same steering wheel in our car. The cluster is different, but this cluster, now that I look at this, the instruments cluster, it does look a little bit like that plug-in hybrid MG HS that I've seen before, so it's okay. Maybe a tiny bit different. So they're talking about this infotainment touchscreen. If this is the true reflection rather than a mock-up, which it can be, by the way, in marketing, commercial, promotional things, if it's a real thing, it does look different. It looks like the software is different. At least the UI that they're using here is different to what we have. And it does look a bit sleeker, at least this shot, and it does look a bit better. And as you know, if you watched my videos, I was not a fan of the sort of the infotainment screen, even though it's a pretty sizable infotainment screen too in MG HS Essence and MG ZST Essence that we have. I was not impressed with basically the functionality. It's a bit, you know, it's like a beta version of some software from 1995. This looks a bit sleeker. This looks certainly a lot more modern, and I certainly hope that it would be better. So this probably is where the value potentially is. Also, what they've changed is the gear shifter. So they went to the rotary gear shifter here, as we see, for example, in Haval. So when I test driven Haval H6, you can take a look again for the video on my channel if you haven't seen it yet. Haval is already using this nice feeling kind of, well, it's more gimmicky, I'd say. I mean, it's functional, but I'd say it's a gimmick rather than something, again, you would buy a car for, I suppose. So that's hardly a massively innovative solution for MG, but I think it would be a welcome addition to otherwise a fairly sleek, fairly modern kind of looking design here of the interior of this cabin. That's okay. That's okay. I'd say that this is where some of the value definitely would be. Now this mysterious MG ChargeHub. Let's just read it. The new ZS EV and the MG ChargeHub is the stuff of electric dreams. The ChargeHub can significantly reduce charging times, combining convenience and cost savings by turning your home into home base. Wording of this suggests to me that this is an optional appendage. It suggests to me that it could reduce charge times. So that says to me that, well, if I don't opt into this and if I don't want to buy this, which probably will be $3,000-4,000 maybe, who knows, then I probably can get by without it, but maybe not. Maybe not. That's the interesting thing, right? But they're definitely pushing it as an add-on, as a bolt-on product, which I'm not sure I feel super happy about, because if it significantly improves your experience with the EV vehicle, then you will feel obliged to buy it. So the price of the car will have to have this bolt-on thing to it that is not yet incorporated in those numbers that we just saw. MG Pilot, please take a look on my channel about the MG Pilot. Again, I have kind of reservations about this MG Pilot. Short version of it is not autopilot, it is not Tesla, it will not drive you around, and lane keep assist and bings and bongs that when you leave the lane, they are not unique to MG. My LDV D90 that doesn't boast any MG Pilot, it has the same features. It still tries to warn me about frontal collisions, it still tries to put on electric brakes, it still does the dings and bongs when I leave the lane, by the way, in case you're wondering. It's not piloting anything, but neither does this thing particularly pilot anything. So I think, personally, this is a little bit of a brand gimmick that I don't mind, but I would not put my faith into this. I would not buy the car because it has it, because you will be using it really once in a blue moon when you're driving on a motor highway, on a highway somewhere intercity. That's the only time you'll be using this. Fully connected, all right, well, they are kind of advertising here Carplay and Android Auto connectivity. Surely it will be better than LDV D90 infotainment screen, which is absolutely horrendous, and it's a very horrible connectivity experience. But if you remember my experience with MG HS Essence top of the range, I was struggling with Android Auto connectivity for a long time, and even when it got fixed and the problem was basically in the cable rather than in the infotainment system, fine. But when it got fixed, even then it was sluggish. the reactions of the computer processor powering this infotainment screen, in my HS at least, they were slow. So in this case, we can only hope that the performance is better, but don't trust the pictures is what I'm going to say to you. Don't trust the pictures. You would need to test drive and see how responsive this thing is, rather than a tick box is ticked that there is connectivity. Of course there is connectivity. Who doesn't have connectivity now? What else? Sporty, stylish interior. Again, we talked a little bit about the gear shifter, and we talked a little bit about this clearly uplifted infotainment panel, hopefully a lot more functional than what we had in 2021 models of petrol versions of ZST and HS. Otherwise, my friends, this interior has not changed. It is not, yes, beautifully soft materials, carbon fiber dashboard, blah, 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 but all of that exists in our current MG ZST. So as far as the stitching is concerned, as far as all of that is concerned, if you're buying an MG ZST, petrol version, let's say, and you are just after creatures comforts, just get the Essence, which is the top of the range model, and you will get all of this beauty, all of this stuff that they're boasting here in EV, and it's not exclusive to EV. Please keep that in mind. 46,990 Australian dollars is the offered drive-away price for the manufacturing year 2022 ZS EV Excite model with non-metallic paint. And almost $50,000 is the drive-away price for the top of the range Essence model with the non-metallic paint as well. And you get $500 discount offer on an MG ChargeHub, which we don't know how much it costs. It could be a couple of $1,000, could be $5,000, could be less. And the first 500 vehicles are expected to arrive in Australia in Q3 of 2022. Let's very quickly, just for giggles, take a look at what other brands are offering right now in this EV or at least plug-in hybrid range, if you are into those electric vehicles and if that is something that drives you. Now, this is not a very thorough comparison, but we are looking right now at rather sleek looking, in my opinion, very, very lifted. I actually like the look of this, but we're looking right now at one of the competitors, I think, to MG ZS EV, and that is the all-new HRV, Honda HRV, which is starting in its hybrid or electrical. I'm not quite sure. I think it's a hybrid version, but again, it sort of gets closer to that range of the cars. It's starting from 45,000 in the base configuration. Visually, at least from the side, I actually prefer the look of this. I like this. It's a bit more lifted. It's a little more off-roady, and I just personally subjectively like it. Plus, Honda is a much more kind of established brand, and I think that them starting at a more competitive price for a plug-in vehicle, yeah, and I think it's a hybrid EV, yeah, HEVL model. That's what I assume. But starting from a slightly comparable but slightly more competitive price point, I think it's a smart move for Honda. And here is Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi is talking about Eclipse Cross, which is a plug-in hybrid. It's not an EV, it's a plug-in hybrid, but close enough. And this is also starting from $50,000. It's starting from $50,000. Once again, we're not looking thoroughly at every key feature here. And also, I don't like subjectively the look of this. I actually think MG ZST or ZS EV looks much better than this weird back of this car. I actually am not a fan of what this looks like. I think Honda looks better. I think MG looks better. But we're simply here quickly checking in on the drive-away price. So take a look at this, yeah? So what do I think about this car, my friends? Well, I already expressed my opinion that I think the ZST, the petrol ZST model 2021, top of the range that we bought for about 32,000 Australian dollars in Sydney, Australia, it was definitely a value for money, and in my opinion, it remains a value for money. The car has its own little transgressions, such as the Bluetooth connectivity that keeps disconnecting the phone whenever it wants to, and a couple of other little kinks. But overall, I think for this price range of the top of the range, sunroof and everything, and it only costs 32,000, I think that's a great car that we got. Now we look at this. And as far as creatures comforts, space within the car, boot space, other kind of things that we know about this car, none of that has changed. All that's changed is the drivetrain. It is now an electric vehicle that also potentially you would need to equip with this extra thing that is that charging hub thing that you need to buy. Okay, In my opinion, it is way too expensive to be as appealing as the petrol-based ZST model that we have. Yes, it looks sleek, yes, it tries to compete, but this is where MG takes, in my opinion, slightly too aggressive a step into the market and to the territory of the cars that are already, of the brands that are a lot more established, such as Honda, such as even Mitsubishi. Even though I like the look of this car a lot more, I still would not spend 50,000 on this car. 50,000 they want for the top of the range Essence. I got pretty much everything as far as creatures comforts are concerned. I have a wonderful, beautiful drive in this ZST that we have, petrol version. Nothing drives me towards this, pun not intended, nothing drives me towards buying a ZS EV that is almost $20,000 Australian more expensive, if we include the potential charge for the charging hub thing that I need to then hang up on a wall and all that kind of stuff. And this is what I think about ZS EV 2022 model. I think it looks very flashy, very fancy, but I personally would not bother buying it in 2022, at least in Australia, at least under currently advertised prices and under current financial conditions of the world in general. What do you think? Now is your turn to talk to me in the comments below this video. Please let me know what you think about this. I always love hearing your opinions, sharing my opinions with you, and kind of just learning something from each other. I suppose that's how this channel has been operating so far, and that's how it will be operating going into the future. Thanks again for tuning in today. Thanks again for your support. Really appreciate it. Means a lot. Like the video if you haven't liked it already. Let's show it to more people on YouTube if you found it useful, because that's how YouTube algorithm works. You click that button and YouTube thinks that it should show it to other people. I think we want more people in our little friendly club. Thanks again. Talk to you next time about something else, MG or LDV related, in Australia specifically. Bye for now.